Joining me now in studio is Sharon Danna. Sharon, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show and allowing me the opportunity to get to know you and your passion for Buffalo's Gardens. Casimiro was on the show a little while back, and he mentioned to me the wonderful work you've had been, spearheading to make sure our community gardens are in the best shape possible, and I wanted to meet you to learn more.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Jordan.
You're so very welcome. So my first question today was, when did you know you liked to garden?
We built our home, and the woman next door was very much into gardens.
Your neighbor had done something in the neighborhood and you're like, I want to learn more about that.
Right,
okay.
right.
So why do you dedicate yourself to keeping Buffalo beautiful?
I have always had, that's part of my DNA, that when I see a problem, I always have to think about, is there anything I can do to help? And I remember going to the Extreme Makeover in 2009.
Wow, that long ago?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
At the end of the show, they said, okay, this is fine and dandy, but what are we going to do to keep the momentum going? And I thought about all the flowers I have at home. I have about a 270-foot garden, just full of perennials, full of perennials. And I thought, is there something I can do with those perennials and maybe some of the areas that need a little bit of loving?
A little bit of TLC,
yes.
If you would say.
And so I contacted the DOT, and that's how it kind of started. Okay. And it's expanded a lot since then.
Quite a bit. Well, what does it mean to you to have your work be recognized and be in the 2021 Buffalo Garden Walk?
That was exciting. We had 4 that were in this year, and I don't even know which one I'm the most proud of, but I think the one that's exciting for me is that there was a pastor that stopped me on the street on Grant Street, and he said, I like what you're doing. I wish that we could have a garden like this at our church. I said, well, if you have somebody that will water it and take care of it, I will help you put a garden in. So he put one in on Massachusetts and Prospect, and that garden was put in the garden walk as well this year.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So you were able to land 4 gardens into the Buffalo Garden Walk this year.
Yes.
You mentioned watering it is very important.
Yes.
But can you share some gardening tips with me?
Oh, very, very important is feeding the
them.
gardens. I go through a lot of Miracle-Gro, a lot. I get a kick out of it. I have a big 30-gallon that I put in the water
30
tank.
gallons of growing material, or
no,
feeding, if you will.
Of the water tank.
Oh, wow.
And it's in the back of my SUV, and I open the tailgate, and it's got a wand, and I go from garden to garden, and
So Sharon pulls up, and you just garden the beautiful flowers.
Yes, exactly. And I have Miracle-Gro in just about every single time, and people are constantly saying, like, why is the water green?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's mulch is extremely important. But the Miracle-Gro is very important.
So you mentioned 4 gardens in this year's Buffalo Garden Walk. Which 4 were they?
Well, the one on Massachusetts and West Utica.
Okay.
That one's very special too. Then I have the one on Niagara and Virginia. And that's the one that's been sponsored by the Hispanic Heritage Council.
And Kaz and the wonderful work they're doing, yes.
I love him. Then I also have one at Goodell and Michigan.
Okay.
The one at Niagara and Goodell, actually, the DOT contacted me and said, we have a couple of gardens that have been neglected. A group put it in years and years ago. And I understand that people retire and move on. They're physically not able to keep up with whatever the reason. And so that's how I got those 2 gardens.
Oh, wow. Now, you mentioned West Utica in Massachusetts. You actually have family history with this location.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. That one's exciting. I drove by that for 2 years, and it was a mess. It's a triangle. And I kept trying to figure out what even is this? I didn't even know. So I started asking around the neighborhood, and they said, well, at one time it used to be a garden. So I just decided, okay, well, let's bring it back to being a garden. Then I found out, after I put the garden in, that my father-in-law had lived around the corner.
Oh, wow.
And he had written in his autobiography that a lot of people do when they're getting up there in years, and he had talked about playing baseball in the triangle on West Utica in Massachusetts.
The same one that you worked on, and
one.
I would say beautified.
The same one, yeah.
Whoa, that is just such an awesome connection there. And it's your way of giving back, and weirdly enough, you're giving back to your own family in that sense.
Yes.
So what are some goals that you were looking to achieve in the future with your gardens?
Well, sustainability is always huge. I keep trying to engage the community in wanting to continue to take care of them, because I'm obviously not going to be able to forever. So we have some people that have started taking care of little plots on Grand Street especially. I've met some incredible people, and they have helped me. DeAndre and Bill. Bill helps every single day that he can. He has some health issues, so he's good for about an hour and a half, and then he has to rest. But these people, they give me their all.
And they're still giving you their all, whatever they can to help you.
And we have them over for Christmas and Thanksgiving. They become part of our family.
It is wonderful. You know, it's become, we're the city of good neighbors. And you're taking that home. And you get, and that is so wonderful. So you and Kaz have a relationship, but how did you and Kaz actually meet?
Oh, Kaz is the real deal. He's genuine. So I was on Niagara Street doing the weeding and putting in plants, and this gentleman pulls over, and he gets out of his car, and he comes over and says, like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" And I introduced myself and explained, and literally that's how it started. And he has been such a blessing. He has gotten me mulch for several years for that garden. This past year, he was responsible for putting it in the guard walk for me. He nominated, which gives also a grant. So we were able to put a couple trees in the garden.
So you're able to add some more love and life to the city.
Yes. And he stops by, and we've also expanded now, trying to help some of the people that are homeless that have stopped by in that area. So we're not just doing gardening anymore.
No, it's taken a whole new form. And you guys are really connecting with the community, and that is why I love, and I'm thankful to be able to work with the Hispanic Heritage Cultural Institute and Kaz and everybody at the Heritage Council. One thing I wanted to ask you real quick before I move on to my next question was, I meant to ask this earlier, what is your favorite flower or plant?
My favorite flower.
Yeah, I know there's probably quite a bit, but if you had to say your favorite flower or plant.
Okay, for right now, this time of season would be the flax.
So right now it's the flax.
And I'm telling people out there, put Miracle-Gro on it, because I have had flax that are growing forever and ever and ever. Yes, I have a raspberry flax that's gorgeous.
Just gorgeous.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how can our viewers watching help you in your mission to keep Buffalo beautiful?
Well, number one, please don't litter. It sounds so elementary, but it's a huge, huge issue.
Yeah.
So we have a picker-upper sticks that we use. When we garden, we have to take stuff out of the gardens. It's gotten better, but that's huge. We are always looking for volunteers. We do it literally 7 days a week, unless it has rained. And if it's a real soaker, I get the next day off too.
Oh, wow.
But we're only in the morning. We only do it for about 2 hours.
So you're spending every morning out there, then gardening the flowers and everything like that. So, if you're watching the show, do your part to not litter and keep the city beautiful. Sharon is putting a lot of effort towards the gardens, and you would really appreciate that help there, right?
Very much so. And in all honesty, part of my overall picture, and this is what the pastor did at his church, we have a lot of perennials. Those are the flowers that come back every year. And we need to split them. I would love to help people put gardens in at their house, at their organizations that are on the west side.
Oh, that would be so wonderful. They could take a little bit of the city home with them.
Absolutely.
That is such a great idea.
Including my raspberry flax even.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Well, that would be exciting to get a nice split of that. Now, real quick before we move on, what does Buffalo mean to you?
Everything.
everything.
Oh my goodness, in the last, 15 years, it is a whole new Buffalo. It's exciting. I also am a little bit of a development geek.
Okay.
Okay, maybe
So you're
a big
liking
one.
all of the development going on.
I follow all of it.
Yeah.
I follow all the developers. I go and drive by the buildings, especially because so many of them are on the east and the west side near the gardens. So, Broadway is one of my favorite streets too. There's so much potential.
Yeah,
Love
and it is
Buffalo.
exciting to see all of the development coming, one of which being the Hispanic Cultural Institute,
Yes.
So where are you originally from in Western New York?
Lackawanna is where I graduated from.
Okay.
We've moved around a fair amount, but Lackawanna is where I graduated from. Now I'm in Hamburg.
In Hamburg, and do you like living in Hamburg then?
I do. People think I'm nuts that I should be living on the west side because I spend so much time there. But I worked in rural. I worked in Franklinville.
Okay.
So I always said that, I worked in Franklinville. I live in Hamburg, but my heart's on the west side.
Oh, that is so wonderful.
really
and
is.
You had mentioned earlier, your family history is really in Buffalo. In fact,
Yes.
someone in your family had worked for Shays in the past.
Yes.
So really, the family history is here.
Yes. My husband's grandfather and father, his father was born 1910 on Plymouth.
Oh, wow. You can learn how to help Sharon Danna and her mission to keep Buffalo beautiful online at gooddeedsbuffalo.tv. We'll be back for more Good Deeds Buffalo after this message.